I stood there in the conference room, heart pounding as the IT guy pulled up the logs on the big screen. There was time-stamped evidence of Sarah's unauthorized access to my emails, digging for dirt to sabotage my promotion. She smirked at me across the table, whispering "I win" under her breath, thinking she'd clinched it. But as the boss's face darkened and he announced her immediate termination, I just smiled and said, "Well done." Revenge tasted sweet. My name is Leah Thompson, and I'm a 38-year-old marketing director at a mid-sized tech firm in Seattle. I've been with the company for over a decade, climbing the ladder through sheer grit and late nights, balancing a demanding job with raising 2 kids and keeping my marriage afloat. Life wasn't always this polished. I grew up in a small town in Oregon, where my parents ran a failing diner, teaching me early on that hard work doesn't always pay off unless you fight for it. That's why when Sarah, my ambitious underling, decided to play dirty, I didn't just roll over. I turned the tables in a way that still makes me smile when I think about it. Let me take you back to how it all started. It was about 2 years ago, right after the pandemic had shaken up our office dynamics. We'd gone fully remote for a while, then hybrid, and that's when Sarah joined the team as a junior analyst. She was in her mid-20s, fresh out of college with a sharp mind and an even sharper tongue. At first, I saw potential in her, eager, quick to learn, always volunteering for extra projects. I mentored her, shared tips on navigating the corporate world, even invited her to team lunches to help her fit in. But underneath that polished resume, there was something off. Sarah had this way of watching people, like she was cataloging weaknesses for later use. I brushed it off as paranoia on my part. After all, I'd dealt with competitive colleagues before. My home life added another layer of complexity. My husband, Mark, is a high school teacher, steady and supportive. But our marriage had hit a rough patch. With our son, Ethan, who's 10, and daughter, Mia, who's 7, the days blurred into a frenzy of school drop-offs, soccer practices, and endless Zoom calls. Mark handled most of the home front, but resentment built up. I'd come home exhausted, snapping at little things, and we'd argue about who was pulling more weight. "Leah, you're never here," he'd say quietly one night after the kids were in bed. I knew he was right, but the promotion to VP of Marketing was my ticket to stability. A bigger salary meant we could afford that family vacation we'd been putting off, maybe even therapy to fix us. I poured everything into work, determined not to let my family's needs slip through the cracks. Sarah picked up on my vulnerabilities quickly. During one of our one-on-one meetings, she casually mentioned overhearing a call where I vented to a friend about marital stress. I didn't think much of it then, but it planted a seed. The promotion opportunity arose when our current VP announced her retirement. It was between me and a few others, but I was the front runner. Years of successful campaigns under my belt, glowing reviews, and a team that respected me. Sarah, however, saw it as her fast track. She started undermining me subtly at first, missing deadlines on reports I needed, accidentally forwarding emails with errors that made me look sloppy. I confronted her once, keeping it professional. "Sarah, let's talk about these slip-ups. Is everything okay?" She apologized profusely, blaming stress from her own life, something about a sick parent back home. I bought it, offered flexibility, even covered for her on a project. But things escalated. One evening, as I was wrapping up work from home, I noticed something odd in my email inbox. A few messages I'd marked as unread were suddenly read, and there were drafts I didn't remember creating. I chalked it up to a glitch. Our company's email system had been buggy since the upgrade. Mark was in the kitchen making dinner, kids running around, so I didn't dwell on it. "Honey, pass the wine?" I called out, trying to unwind. But the next day at the office, Sarah was unusually chipper, dropping hints about interesting reads she'd come across. It didn't click yet. The real turning point came during a family crisis. Mia had a bad asthma attack one night, landing her in the ER. I was up all night, then dragged myself to work the next morning for a crucial presentation. Exhausted, I confided in a quick email to my sister, "Mark and I are fighting again. I feel like a failure as a mom and wife. Work is killing me, but I need this promotion. It was raw, personal, nothing incriminating, but enough to paint me as unstable if twisted the right way. That email vanished from my sent folder the next day. Paranoia set in. I started double-checking my accounts, changing passwords, but nothing seemed amiss. Sarah's behavior shifted. She began cozying up to our boss, Mr. Harlan, a no-nonsense executive in his 50s who'd built the company from scratch. She'd linger in his office, laugh at his jokes, and volunteer intel on team dynamics. I overheard her once in the break room, chatting with another colleague. "Leah's great, but she's stretched thin with family stuff. Maybe not ready for more responsibility." It stung, but I focused on my work, delivering a killer pitch for a new client that sealed a major deal. Harlan praised me publicly, saying I was a strong candidate for the VP spot. That's when Sarah amped up her game. She hacked my emails. I didn't know it yet, but she'd somehow gotten hold of my credentials, maybe through phishing or just watching me type in the office. Our IT security wasn't top-notch. We'd had a few breaches before, but nothing targeted like this. She scoured for dirt. Those personal emails about my marriage woes, a frustrated vent about a botched project from years ago, even some old correspondence with a former colleague that could be misconstrued as gossip. She compiled it all, anonymized it somehow, and leaked it to Harlan, framing it as concerns from the team about my reliability. The bomb dropped during the promotion review meeting. Harlan called me in first, looking grave. "Leah, I've received some troubling information. Emails suggesting you're overwhelmed, personal issues affecting work." My stomach dropped. I defended myself calmly, explaining context, but doubt crept into his eyes. Then Sarah's turn came. She presented flawlessly, highlighting her contributions, many of which I'd guided her on, and subtly contrasted her stability with my supposed chaos. As we left the meeting, she brushed past me in the hallway, leaning in close. "I win," she whispered, her eyes gleaming with triumph. I forced a nod, hiding the rage boiling inside, but I didn't confront her. Instead, I went home that night and hugged my kids tight. Mia was recovering, drawing pictures of our family, and Ethan asked about my day. "Tough, buddy, but we'll get through it." Mark sensed something was wrong and we talked, really talked, for the first time in months. "Whatever happens at work, we're a team," he said. It grounded me. The next day, Harlan announced Sarah's promotion to the VP role. The office buzzed. Some congratulated her, others shot me sympathetic looks. I approached her desk with a smile. "Well done, Sarah. You earned it." She beamed, oblivious to the storm brewing. See, while she was gloating, I'd been busy. That email glitch had nagged at me, so I'd quietly reached out to our IT department. Tom, the head IT guy, was an old ally. We'd bonded over coffee runs during late-night system updates. I asked him to check the logs for any unusual activity on my account, keeping it discreet. "Leah, this could be serious," he warned, but agreed to dig in. It took a couple of days, but he found it, multiple logins from an IP address traced back to Sarah's home network. Timestamps matched times when I was away from my desk. She'd used a simple keylogger or something similar. Nothing sophisticated, but effective enough in our lax environment. I didn't rush to Harlan. Instead, I gathered more evidence. I reviewed security footage from the office, spotting Sarah lingering near my computer during lunch breaks. I even found a witness, a temp who saw her fiddling with my keyboard once. At home, I confided in Mark, who helped me organize the timeline. "This is criminal, Leah." Hacking emails? She could face charges. But I wanted justice on my terms. Expose her, get her fired, and reclaim what was mine without dragging it to court unless necessary. The confrontation happened a week after her promotion. Harlan called an emergency meeting with HR, IT, Sarah, and me. Tom presented the logs. Clear evidence of breach, unauthorized access, and data manipulation. Sarah's face went pale as the screen lit up with details, her IP, the exact files accessed, even metadata showing she'd forwarded copies to an anonymous account that traced back to her. She stammered denials at first. This is a mistake. I would never. But the proof was ironclad. Harlan, furious at the betrayal, didn't hesitate. Sarah, you're terminated effective immediately. Security will escort you out. She shot me a venomous look, but I just sat there, composed, my smile from earlier echoing in my mind. With Sarah gone, the promotion void opened up. Harlan apologized profusely. Leah, I should have trusted my instincts. The role is yours if you want it. I accepted, of course, but not before negotiating a raise and better work-life balance perks, like flexible hours for family time. The office dynamic shifted. People respected me more, seeing how I'd handled the sabotage with grace. But the story doesn't end there. Sarah didn't slink away quietly. A few days after her firing, she started spreading rumors online. Anonymous posts on industry forums claiming I'd framed her, that the company was toxic. It got back to me through a colleague. I could have ignored it, but revenge isn't complete without closure. I consulted a lawyer friend, who advised on defamation. We sent a cease and desist letter, backed by the IT evidence. She backed off quickly, probably realizing the legal hole she'd dug. On the family side, the ordeal brought us closer. Mark and I started couples counseling using part of my new salary for it. Ethan and Mia noticed the change. More family dinners, weekends at the park. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the kids play, Mark squeezed my hand. You fought for us, Leah. I'm proud. It healed something in me, turning the drama into a catalyst for better things. Looking back, Sarah's betrayal taught me vigilance. I implemented stricter security protocols at work, mentored new hires with clearer boundaries, and even shared my story anonymously in a women's leadership group to help others spot red flags. Life's not perfect, work still demands a lot, and family hiccups happen, but I've got my spot, my family intact, and the satisfaction of knowing I turned I win into her downfall. That wasn't the end of the ripples, though. About 6 months later, I got wind that Sarah had landed a job at a rival firm. Good for her, I thought, until reports came in of similar issues there, colleagues complaining about undermined projects, leaked info. It seemed she hadn't learned her lesson. I didn't intervene. Karma has a way of catching up. Instead, I focused on my team, building a culture of trust. We launched a new campaign that boosted our company's revenue by 30%, earning me accolades and solidifying my role. At home, we took that long-awaited vacation to Hawaii. The kids splashed in the ocean. Mark and I walked the beaches at sunset, reconnecting. Remember when work almost broke us? He asked one night. I nodded, grateful for the turnaround. Years have passed now, and I've moved up even further to senior VP. Sarah? Last I heard, she bounced between jobs, her reputation tarnished. Me? I'm thriving, a testament to resilience. If there's a moral here, it's that betrayal stings, but smart revenge, calculated, evidence-based, wins the day. The promotion wasn't just a job. It was validation after years of sacrifice. I remember the day I moved into the VP office, unpacking boxes while Mia drew on the whiteboard. Mom's the boss, she scribbled. It made all the drama worth it. But let's dive deeper into how this all unfolded, because the devil's in the details, and those details are what made the revenge so satisfying. Back when Sarah first joined, the office was a hive of activity. Our firm specialized in software solutions for small businesses, and my department handled the marketing side, crafting ads, managing social media, analyzing trends. I had a team of 8, including Sarah, and we worked in an open-plan space with glass walls and constant collaboration. Sarah's desk was right across from mine, which in hindsight was a mistake. She could see my screen if she angled just right, hear my calls if I wasn't careful. Her first red flag came during a team-building retreat. We rented a cabin in the mountains for a weekend of strategy sessions and bonding. I brought family photos to share, opening up about Ethan and Mia to foster trust. Sarah shared, too, stories of her competitive upbringing, how her parents pushed her to excel at everything. Failure isn't an option, she said with a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. During a group hike, she pulled me aside. "Leah, you're inspiring. How do you balance it all?" Flattered, I shared tips, not realizing she was fishing for weaknesses. Back at work, small incidents piled up. A client email I swore I'd sent went missing, only for Sarah to find it in her inbox and forward it, taking credit for the save. I thanked her, but doubt crept in. Then there was the time my presentation slides were altered. Key data points changed to make my analysis look flawed. I caught it just before the meeting, fixing it on the fly. Sarah acted surprised. "Wow, good catch. Must be a glitch." My family life intertwined with this mess in ways that amplified the stress. Mark's job as a teacher meant summers off, but during the school year, he juggled grading papers and coaching the debate team. We'd met in college, bonded over shared ambitions, but parenthood shifted priorities. After Mia's birth, I took minimal maternity leave, diving back into work to prove I could handle it. Mark supported me, but the imbalance grew. Arguments flared over things like who forgot to buy groceries or why I missed Ethan's parent-teacher conference. "Leah, the kids need you too," he'd say, voice laced with frustration. I'd counter with, "And we need the income." This promotion changes everything. Sarah exploited this. She must have overheard phone calls or seen calendar invites for family events. One day, she accidentally scheduled a meeting during Mia's doctor's appointment, forcing me to reschedule. When I mentioned it, she apologized. "Oh, I didn't realize. Family first, right?" Her tone was saccharine. The hacking likely started after I changed my password following a company-wide security alert. I used a variation of my kids' names, stupid in retrospect, but common. Sarah, being tech-savvy, probably guessed or used social engineering. IT later confirmed she'd installed a subtle monitoring tool during a team file share. She accessed emails where I discussed work frustrations, like a thread with HR about a colleague's performance issues. Nothing unethical, but fodder for gossip. When she leaked the dirt, she did it cleverly. An anonymous tip to Harlan, with screenshots edited to emphasize negativity. One showed my email to my sister. "I'm drowning. Mark thinks I'm neglecting the family." Cropped to sound like I was admitting incompetence. Harlan, being old school, valued stability above all. He pulled me aside before the decision. "Leah, is everything okay at home?" I assured him it was, but the seed was planted. Her whisper, "I win," came right after the meeting where Harlan hinted at her edge. We were in the elevator, just the two of us. She said it softly, almost like a challenge. I didn't react, but inside I was plotting. Contacting IT was my masterstroke. Tom ran diagnostics off the record at first, confirming the breach. "Leah, this is felony-level stuff. Wire fraud, unauthorized access." I nodded, asking for a full report. Meanwhile, I documented everything: dates, incidents, witnesses. At home, I confided in my sister over the phone. "This girl's trying to ruin me." She advised caution. "Gather proof, then strike." The meeting where it all came out was tense. Sarah arrived smug, in a new power suit, ready to assert her role. Harlan opened with, "We have a security issue." Tom laid it out step by step: login times, accessed files, even a digital trail of her deleting traces, but not well enough. Sarah tried to pivot. "Someone must have framed me. Leah, you have access to my info." But the evidence was overwhelming. HR stepped in, outlining the violation of company policy and potential legal ramifications. Harlan, red-faced, made the call. As security walked her out, she glared at me, but I met her eyes steadily. Post-firing, the office exhaled. Team morale improved. People confided they'd seen her manipulations but feared speaking up. I used it as a teaching moment in our next meeting. Trust is everything. Let's build on that. Family-wise, the win ripple affected positively. With the promotion, I hired a part-time nanny, easing Mark's load. We renovated our home office, making space for family time. Ethan joined a robotics club. Mia took art classes, things we couldn't afford before. Mark and I rediscovered date nights, laughing over old memories. Sarah's online smears were short-lived. My lawyer's letters shut her down, and industry whispers did the rest. I heard through the grapevine she moved to another state, starting over in a lower role. This experience shaped me. I became more assertive, mentoring with firmer boundaries. At a women's conference, I shared anonymized lessons. Spot the signs, document everything, fight back smartly. It resonated. Women approached me afterward, sharing similar stories. Now, years later, I'm at the top of my game. The kids are teenagers. Ethan's in high school, Mia's artistic flair shining. Mark and I are stronger, having weathered the storm. Work-family balance isn't perfect, but it's better. And Sarah? A footnote in my success story. But to really flesh this out, let's go back to the early days of suspicion. It was a rainy Tuesday in Seattle, the kind where the sky never fully brightens. I arrived at the office soaked, juggling my laptop bag and a coffee. Sarah was already there, unusually early, typing away. Morning, Leah. Big day with the client pitch. I nodded, settling in. As I logged on, I noticed my browser history had recent searches I didn't make, things like marriage counseling Seattle and work-life balance tips. Odd, but I dismissed it, focusing on the pitch. The presentation went well, but afterward, Harlan pulled me aside. Great job, but I heard you might be dealing with personal stuff. Everything all right? That's when it hit me. Someone was feeding him info. I played it cool. All good, thanks. But internally, alarms blared. That night, Mia had a school play. I made it, phone on silent, watching her as a little tree in the forest scene. Mark whispered, proud of you for being here. It was a small victory amid the chaos. Sarah's next move was bolder. She volunteered for a cross-department project, positioning herself as indispensable. During a status update, she presented data I'd compiled, claiming it as her own. I corrected her gently in the meeting. Actually, that's from my analysis. She flushed but recovered. Later in private, she said, sorry, must have mixed up files. Liar. I started keeping a journal. Dates, times, incidents. It helped me see the pattern. Meanwhile, family tensions peaked. Mark and I had a blowout argument after I worked through dinner again. This job is consuming you, he yelled. The kids heard Mia crying. It broke me. The next day, I emailed a therapist, scheduling a session. Another email Sarah likely snooped. When Tom confirmed the hack, it was like a weight lifted. Here's the report, he said, handing over a folder. Pages of logs. Irrefutable. The firing meeting was cathartic. Sarah's composure cracked as Tom spoke. She left in tears, box of belongings in hand. Reclaiming the promotion felt right. My first act as VP, security overhaul, training sessions on ethics. Family healed slowly. We took a road trip to Oregon, visiting my parents' old diner spot, now a coffee shop. Nostalgia mixed with progress. Sarah's downfall continued. She tried suing for wrongful termination, but our evidence quashed it. Today, I'm mentoring a new junior, honest, hardworking. Life's full circle.